that's what we were talking about, the kitchen, right? That's what makes a great kitchen is you're producing the same great steak every single time. Yep. Even if you have a very bespoke product, there's still a formula and a process, even at that stage of like how you move it through. When you're used to doing everything by yourself or even a small team, you don't have to talk to as many people. Even if they're following good systems, there's usually something for you to sign off of or review before it either goes out.
I'm curious, why does hiring more help often make founders feel more overwhelmed versus less?
Okay, something came up just, I think, yesterday from a founder I was working with who was like, I didn't realize how much time is spent in like reviewing or like talking to the assistant or talking to, you know, the manager or whoever it is. It's like, you know, when you're used to doing everything by yourself or even a small team, you don't have to talk to as many people. You don't have to review as much. And especially in the beginning, when you're bringing somebody on, even if they're following good systems, there's usually something for you to sign off of or review before it either goes out.
Or a learning period where they want to make sure they're sending out the right thing and getting that confirmation.
And delegating, I have one client who's like really bottlenecked right now with delegating. And it's because she is like writing up the projects that she wants delegated. And it's like she's so overloaded, finding the time to actually like write
the instructions.
The brief and the instructions is like a huge bottleneck. So,
and then some people say, why? In the time it took me to write the instructions, I could have done this myself. But the act of actually writing the instructions, that's going to pay off every single time that person does that project.
Because it shortens their learning time for future similar projects.
Yeah. And I know this is something that you talk about a lot, which is having an SOP.
Yeah.
And I have adopted that and I'm obsessed with SOPs now.
Really?
Yeah, I write them for myself. So what's your philosophy about SOPs?
Well, I'm just like obsessed with getting things out of my head.
Yeah.
Like I think because I'm used to being in the operation space where we're getting things out of your head and into an organized format like a checklist or, you know, I feel I'm very sensitive to the mental load of carrying a process in my head. Yeah. So it's like I'm very aware of what that does to your team, what it does to the founder. And so it's like get things out of your head and document it so that you can follow it every time. And there's a standardized, and that's what we were talking about, the kitchen, right? That's what makes a great kitchen is you're producing the same great steak every single time.
Same
and it's
quality.
Perfection. And in order to do that, you have a formula that you follow. Even if you have a very bespoke, I work with some people who have like a very bespoke product, there's still a formula and a process even at that stage of like how you move it through, you know?
Right. Can I tell you the task that I hate the most?
Yeah. You want to brainstorm
in my business? Okay. So when someone says yes to a contract.
Yes.
And then I have to take all of my notes, maybe my original proposal, maybe some email threads on the details they wanted included, all of these things that have to come together into a scope of work, right? And you have to write that out, and then it's payment terms, it's timing, and then I have to load all of that into, I use PandaDoc for my e-signature, and add my master services agreement and then assign all the fields to the other person. And then once I send that, I have to go into QuickBooks and create the invoice and send it to them.
Oh my gosh.
I just feel like I'm clicking between so many different screens. Yeah. And I put this off, and this is stupid because this is a very important part of the process. When someone says yes, the time between them saying yes and them signing on the dotted line and making the payment should be as small as possible. Yeah. You've already done the hard work. And then as that gap gets bigger and bigger, just the likelihood that they are going to change their mind or they're going to start thinking about something else, you just, you know, and that is my Achilles heel right now.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you how I handle it? Okay. So what I do in my business and what I recommend is have you heard of Ignition app?
No.
Okay. It's one of my favorite tools for managing everything that you just talked about.
Okay.
So you have a deal. So you put the client information, when you program it with your services. So you have like your standardized services.
Okay.
But when you take it through the proposal process, you can edit those services. So what I'll do is I'll have like my standard packages, and then I'll make amendments to it or make adjustments as I go through it. But I don't have to change it every time. It's like, this is our core thing. It might be 5 sessions instead of 1 session or whatever it is. But it holds all that info. So when you're like, I need to send, I've got this new client, you put it in, you click next. It creates the proposal. It says, what kind of service do you want? You click next, puts the service in, you make any amendments that you want, set the payment terms, send it to them. When they send it, when they receive it, they go through the contract. It already auto-populates all of those fields.
Okay.
All they do is digitally sign. And you can edit the contract I've got like 5 different contracts that I use depending on what, it is. But it auto-populates everything you need. And then they add their payment details, and then it saves it in the app or in the software, so that anytime you're working with them in the future, you never have to resend an invoice. It just basically sends them like, are you okay to authorize this payment? Yeah. And then you just click a button.
Does it work with QuickBooks?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It actually originally was designed for accountants and finance professionals. Okay. And that's why I know about it, because I work with a lot of accountants, and those are some of my clients. It integrates very nicely with other tools where it'll create an onboarding project based on the scope of work. So like one of my clients is an accountant, and we've synced it where depending on the scope of work, we've mapped it to the project management tool. So it'll create it knows, like specifically for accountants, right? It's like, okay, part of the scope of work is a month end. It's a QuickBooks cleanup. And so then it automatically generates those projects assigned to that client in the work management tool with all the built-in SOPs.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I'll set it up for you. But I just feel like having like one tool that takes you through that whole process, and you can definitely do the same thing with like AI and integrating it. And, that's your zone of genius. But I do kind of like the one minimizing as many tools as possible. Right. Just my preference. I'm surprised you're not using like a contract management software like that.
No, I do. I use PandaDoc, and I can integrate Zapier. I can integrate whatever with PandaDoc, but I have to set it up. And sometimes when you have 1,000 things on your plate, you don't do the things that are going to save you the most time.
Yeah. Well, you should send me whatever Kaylee ends up delivering for your like projects and stuff, and I can put it, because it's the same thing that I was talking about, where if you set up PandaDoc, you can like have your specific services and your payments and all that. How much is it? What, Ignition? Yeah. It's like, I paid the annual fee. I want to say it was like $450. It's not that. I don't think it's that bad.
Because PandaDoc is like $70 a month or something.
Oh, this is not as expensive. I think this is like $50 a month. Okay. Yeah, because I did and I have I think I have a 50% promo code.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll send it to you, and I'll give you like a little like tour of like how I use it, because I like it because I have the deals, and I like being able to track, I just talked to this person. We had a sales call. Yeah.
So is it a CRM?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, kind of. I mean, it is a CRM. Yes. Like I keep all my client notes there. Yeah. But it's not a CRM in the sense that it's going to send like emails and like that style of CRM. Yeah. But I consider it our CRM because it keeps like, it's more of like once we've had a sales call, then they go in there.
Do you want to talk about CRMs for a second?
Oh, yes. Let's nerd out about CRMs.
Everyone hates CRMs. Really? I don't know if this is your experience, but like everyone I work with where I'm like, you need a CRM. And they're like, I'm not going to use the CRM. And when I do use the CRM, it's super clunky and it doesn't help me. Yeah. And so I don't want it. And what's the point? And it's so interesting because your CRM is like your system for everything deal related and managing your contacts. And I think what ends up happening is people just duplicate systems. So like, for example, if you've been keeping this Excel spreadsheet for like the last 5 years of of your leads and their contact information and tracking where they are in the process, I am all for Excel. I love Excel, but it's not really a system like the way a CRM is.
Oh yeah.
And so then people are like, well, now I'm updating my Excel and I'm updating my CRM and I don't see the point of the CRM. And it's like, you need to go all in on adoption on the CRM.
1,000%.
In order for it to save you time, you cannot be maintaining both systems.
Yeah. You know how they say like, what is it? Like fortune is in the follow-up in sales. Yeah. I feel like it's like that same methodology, but in your client systems. Like if you don't have a CRM, I think that so much of, there's a couple things. I feel like leads are going to fall through the cracks. One of those. And then that's going to impact your reputation because there's nothing people hate more than showing interest in your work
and not getting a
follow-up.
Yep.
If they feel so insulted by that. So there's that, and then that's going to give you a bad reputation. But then also just managing all of your contacts and being able to stay on people's radar. It's so
feeling
important.
like you have to remember these details is such a like mental burden.
No.
And I have heard someone told me this a few years ago that you should follow up with someone 5 to 6 times after they stop responding. And when you're in sales, where you're doing sales, you might feel like, I sent them an email, they didn't respond, they don't want to buy from me. When in reality, people are busy. I do this, I'm like, I'm going to follow up 5 or 6 times until I decide that this lead is dead. And people on the 5th or 6th time will be like, thank you so much for keeping on this. I have been so busy, but we need your help.
Yes.
And so that just really reinforces for me, I need a system to make sure I don't forget to do those follow-ups.
So one thing that I've been working on kind of similarly is I do so much networking and I have so many like referral partners and potential community partners of where I'm meeting with them one-on-one. Sometimes we have to reschedule because of such and such. And then sometimes I'm noticing like, okay, I had to reschedule, but then we never actually rescheduled.
Right.
Like something, they didn't respond or too much time is going, whatever it is. And so like adding those people and then the reminders to the CRM is like a system I'm working on.
Yeah.
Because before I wasn't doing the volume. So it was easier to just like manage like, oh yeah, and keep it in your head. But as you turn up the volume, you have to have a system because there's no way that it can live in your head. It's just not gonna.
Yeah. That's actually one of the things that I do in Zapier a lot is I'll create little mail hooks. And so it's like a little email address that Zapier will give you. And if I send an email where I'm like, hey, let's schedule a call, I'll BCC this little email hook that triggers a Zap to add a task to my to-do in like 5 days. Like you can set up different mail hooks for like different delays that you want. But that way, if you send that email, you always have that reminder that like, hey, did they actually schedule?
I love that. Are you setting up the task in Notion or you're doing your, because you use Notion as your work management? So it does it in Zapier. Okay, cool. I like that. There's so many different, I feel like now all of a sudden I have so many ideas of what we could use that for.
Well, yeah. I mean, and Gmail is getting smarter.
It is. Oh my gosh.
And so, it's reminding, hey, you sent this email 3 days ago, which is amazing. Yeah. And also Google AI Studio now has automation built directly into Gmail. I don't know if you've tried this, but it's like a little sidebar and you can say anytime X happens, I want Y to happen. Now it's all within your Google workspace, but like I set up, I have all my notifications turned off on my phone for emails and for Slack messages because I just need to protect my work-life balance.
Good job.
And so what I set up was a little automation that it processes all of my emails to determine if it's an urgent email. And if it's an urgent email, it sends me a Google chat and I get a Google chat message. And so that way I know, like, if I'm going to get an urgent email, I will be notified, but everything else will be silenced.
I love that. It's so funny because I feel like how you feel about like setting up PandaDoc is like how I feel about setting that up. I love the ideas, but I'm like, oh, but like I could set up like Ignition or those like a CRM. I could set up CRMs all day. I love that. But it's so funny how we both have our like drudgery zones.
There is anytime you click copy and paste, I think, could this be automated? It's the bane of my existence is moving data from one place to another, copying a Word document, copying a chat from ChatGPT and putting it somewhere else. That is like the epitome of stupidity, because and we all do it. I'm not like we
she saw
all
the look in my eyes, guys. I was like, oh.
No, we all do it, but it's stupid because you're using this powerful AI. It can't take action for you. And that's actually why I switched to Claude recently, which is a total aha moment. If you had an aha moment from ChatGPT 3 years ago where you were like, mind blown, I can't believe everything I can do, and you've been on ChatGPT for the last 3 years and you feel like, cool, I've got it. It doesn't really get better than this. Switch over to Claude and you will have another aha moment.
So take us through your favorite things about Claude right now.
Okay, so in ChatGPT, you know how there's custom GPTs where you have like a little prompt that you can put in and it does the same thing every time. Really helpful. I don't really use them that much. But Claude has something similar but way more powerful called a skill. And a skill is like a prompt, but it's more like a mega prompt. It can have associated files, reference files, examples, and you can call that prompt, you can call that skill anytime you want into a conversation. So if I've been chatting about, hey, let's put together this proposal and bringing in my meeting notes, and then I say, okay, I'm ready to fill in the outline for my proposal and generate that document, run the proposal generator skill, and it knows exactly what my proposals look like. It knows what sections it has. It knows the voice. It knows what components are required, and it will generate it for me the same way each time. And so you can call multiple skills in one conversation. You can have a skill use another skill.
Give us an example of like what would that look like?
So I have a skill called AI tropes, and it is
I like where this is going.
It's just full of all of the stupid AI terms and phrases that are so hard to get out of our writing. And so I have a system set up where anytime I have a content idea or a meeting, I'll run a skill that says like, hey, extract from this conversation any content pieces that are relevant to my business, my brand strategy. And so that skill knows everything about who my target audience is. And then it calls the AI tropes skill once it's created the content to comb through the content and make sure that it doesn't sound like AI. And then because Claude can actually take action in Notion or in your whatever project management tool in your Google Workspace, it can take action. Then it will add all of those content ideas into my Notion database. That is where I keep all my content ideas. So it's more agentic.
Yeah.
So, you know, where ChatGPT has some of these capabilities, but Claude is way more down the agentic sort of on the scale.
So a skill, how is that different from a project? And then also, like when you say it calls on the skill, do you have to set up a workflow or do you prompt it to set up the skill? How does that?
Yeah, so Claude can build its own skills.
Whoa.
So if I have repeated the same sort of process a bunch of times, like creating a proposal, if I have this long chat where we've created the proposal together and I have a really good example, I'll say, use this example and create a skill for creating a proposal. And then what I do to test it is I'll go into a new chat and I'll say, hey, generate a proposal using this skill. And then I'll look at the proposal and I'll take my feedback and I'll say, enhance the skill given this feedback. So it's actually like it can improve itself. And then projects are great for like organizing context where I have this client project, I have that client project, and I want to contain everything.
Oh, okay.
And I have specific instructions for that project. I am the consultant in this environment and my client is X, Y, and Z, and these are our goals, so that any conversation it has, it calls on that context. But then within there, I can use any of the skills that are in my environment. So I can call on that AI tropes skill and be like, hey, I just created this info for my client. Let's get rid of all that AI shit in there.
Love it. That's super cool.